Hey everyone!
Hey everyone! Get those jitters out. Shake, 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 silly. I don't know how the song goes. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Welcome back, kids, to Junior Church Online. We are now on week 4 of our series on love.
We want you guys to know that we miss you so much and we're so glad you're here to do this lesson with us. We hope you enjoy it.
Now, we want to see your faces, and we've seen some of your faces with our Zoom call last week, but we're having another one at the same time this week. So Sunday at 1:30 until around 2 or 2:30. So please come join us. It was so much fun, and it's gonna get more fun. I was gonna say funner, but you know what? That should be a word. Just putting that out there. And there's a super duper special activity. It's actually just a scavenger hunt, but I think it's pretty special. It's gonna be super duper fun. I already said that.
Over the past couple of weeks, we've been looking at love through the verses of 1 Corinthians 13, 4-7. If you guys haven't seen those, some of the things we've already covered is how love is patient and kind, how it doesn't envy or boast, how it's not arrogant or rude, and some of the lessons we looked at were the Good Samaritan, we looked at Joseph's story, we looked at the Pharisee and the tax collector. If you've missed any of those, I definitely recommend checking them out. They're pretty funny, also just like good lessons to learn. For this week, we're going to be moving on, and Rebecca's going to talk a bit about what we're going to talk about today.
This week, we're focusing on the first half of 1 Corinthians 13, verse 5, which says, "It does not insist on its own way."
What does this mean? What do you think of when you hear "it does not insist on its own way"? What images do you think of? What words do you think of? We'll give you guys some time to think about it. Insisting on your own way is when you insist on your own way, you put your desires above the desires of others. We're going to show you an example of what this looks like.
You should get this one.
You know what, Baby Becky, that's not really that nice.
It's much nicer than yours.
No, okay, mine, this is the way to go. You can't have...
At least my hair's color bar.
This is not barf. This is like monotone. You know, you gotta get your browns and your
Mine has color. I want this one. I insist on it. I want this. No. I want this one. I want this one. Come on. No. I don't know what I'm saying.
Be more.
Be more what? The story for this week is Jonah. We're going to be looking at the first chapter, and then next week we're going to look. Okay. The story. What are you doing? The story we'll be focusing on this week is Jonah. We're going to be looking at the first chapter, and next week we're going to look at the rest. So make sure you tune in and hear the rest of the story.
We have an activity for you guys. We want you to get your Bibles. We're going to give you 10 seconds, and then we're going to do a sword drill. For those of you who don't know what that is, we'll explain it to you when you get your Bibles. We're going to read through Jonah chapter 1, so we want you to get your Bibles, and we're going to do a sword drill. We're going to give you 10 seconds to get your Bibles and do a sword drill.
What was that?
We're going to be reading through Jonah chapter 1, so we want you guys to go and get a Bible. We're going to give you 10 seconds, and we're going to do a sword drill when you get back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
do a sword drill. Now, if you've been a regular to junior church, you already know what it is. But in case you don't, what we're gonna do is you're gonna raise your Bibles up, just like this. No cheating, no putting your finger anywhere. And then I'm gonna call out the verse, and you're gonna find it, and we're gonna race, all right?
So here's what it's called a sword drill. I heard that you guys learned a long time ago about the armor of God. Well, in that part of the Bible, God talks about the Bible as the sword of truth, or the sword of the Spirit. So, yeah, it is your sword. We need to exercise our abilities with this sword because we need to be good at using it. Just like you need to be good at using a real sword if you want to go to battle. Because life is a spiritual battle.
3, 2, 1. Jonah won. Got it! Yes! I beat you. Did anyone beat me? I doubt it. I'm pretty great. I'm pretty good at these. I found. Good job. We're gonna read it, and you should follow along with us. Are you ready? Let's get started. Jonah 1. God calls, and Jonah runs. The Lord spoke his word to Jonah, son of Amittai. Get up, go to the great city of Nineveh, and preach against it. I see the evil things they do. But Jonah got up to run away from the Lord. He went to the city of Joppa. There he found a ship that was going to the city of Tarshish. Jonah paid for the trip and went aboard. He wanted to go to Tarshish to run away from the Lord. So Tarshish was in the complete opposite direction from Nineveh. But the Lord sent a great wind on the sea. This wind made the sea very rough, so the ship was in danger of breaking apart. The sailors were afraid. Each man cried to his own god. The men began throwing the cargo into the sea. So that's all the stuff in the ship. They started throwing it overboard. This would make the ship lighter, so it would not sink.
But Jonah had gone down into the ship to lie down. He fell fast asleep. The captain of the ship came and said, "Why are you sleeping? Get up. Pray to your God. Maybe your God will pay attention to us. Maybe he will save us." Then the men said to each other, "Let's throw lots," which lots are like, it's kind of like a type of gambling. "Let's throw lots to see who caused these troubles to happen to us." So the men threw lots. The lot showed that the trouble had happened because of Jonah. Then the men said to Jonah, "Tell us what you have done. Why has this terrible thing happened to us? What is your job? Where do you come from? What is your country? Who are your people?" Then Jonah said to them, "I am a Hebrew. I fear the Lord, the God of heaven. He is the God who made the sea and the land." Then the men were very afraid. They asked Jonah, "What terrible thing did you do?" They knew Jonah was running away from the Lord because Jonah had told them.
The wind and the waves of the sea were becoming much stronger. So the men said to Jonah, What should we do to make the sea calm down?" Jonah said to them, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then it will calm down. I know it is my fault that this great storm has come to you." Instead, the men tried to row the ship back to the land, but they could not. The wind and the waves of the sea were becoming much stronger.
Jonah's punishment. So the men cried to the Lord, "Lord, please do not let us die because of taking this man's life. Please don't think we are guilty of killing an innocent man. Lord, you have caused all this to happen. You wanted it this way." Then the men picked up Jonah and threw him into the sea. So the sea became calm. Then they began to fear the Lord very much. They offered a sacrifice to the Lord. They also made promises to him. And the Lord caused a very big fish to swallow Jonah. Jonah was in the stomach of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights.
not very pretty. We're gonna quickly summarize the story for you using these handy dandy popsicle sticks. Are you ready?
This is Jonah. Jonah was told by God to go to Nineveh to speak to the people there. Nineveh was not a nice place. The people were doing very bad things, and it was just bad. It was a bad time. So, Jonah decided that he didn't want to go to Nineveh because it was so bad. So he decided to go to Tarshish, which is like the complete opposite direction of Nineveh. So he bought a ticket to go on a boat. Well, he didn't really buy a ticket, but he went on a boat that was going to Tarshish.
And when they got onto the sea, God sent a very big storm. And the boat was rocking and rocking and rocking, and it was quite possible that the boat would break. So these sailors over here were kind of freaking out, and they were praying to all their gods, which don't exist, because you know our God up in heaven is the only God, remember that. But they tried praying to their gods, and they told Jonah, who was sleeping, to pray to his God. And they were praying and praying as the boat was rocking and rocking and rocking. And they found out that it was Jonah's fault, that all this rocking and all this storm was Jonah's fault because he disobeyed God. And they didn't want to throw him overboard, which is what Jonah suggested. So they tried taking out all the cargo and making the ship lighter so they wouldn't sink. But what had to happen was Jonah had to get off the boat.
So Jonah, after being thrown overboard, was in the water, obviously, and the sea became completely calm. And then God sent a giant fish to swallow Jonah whole. And he was in the belly of the whale, which, by the way, when you really think about it, is absolutely disgusting. It's not like there was a couch in there for him to sit on. It's not like there was a bed for him to sleep in for 3 nights and 3 days. Like, I can't even, just try imagining being in the belly of a whale.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm just not gonna think about it. Anyway, but he was in there for 3 days and 3 nights, which is pretty long. This, being in the belly of the whale, was Jonah's punishment for not listening to God, for insisting on his own way and disobeying the plans that God had for him.
If you tune in next week, we'll tell the rest of the story, so you'll find out what happens to Jonah. And kill it. Jonah, he insisted on his own way. He put his desires above the desires of God, and he disobeyed him. And now that wasn't very loving, was it? We're gonna give you a quick minute to think about what Jonah should have done, and what would have been loving of him.
Okay, let's stop. No way to do jazz hands. 3, 2, 1.
Now, if it isn't obvious yet, Jonah should have obeyed God. Am I right or am I right?
You're right.
It's pretty simple what Jonah should have done. He should have obeyed God. He should have followed God's desires, not his. He should not have insisted on his own way. This is because that's the way we can show our love for God. By listening to his instructions, by following his desires, because he knows everything and his desires are perfect.
We're going to show you an example of how Brittany and baby Becky could have shown love to each other with not insisting on their own way.
I want this one.
You know what? You're right. Yours looks better than mine. We can just get yours. I insist.
We'll get yours next time.
Okay.
It's time for our craft. This week we kind of have a double craft. You'll see what I mean later. But we're gonna start with the regular, finishing the GOD of the craft we've been working on for the past few weeks. If you haven't been keeping up with these crafts, go watch the other videos, catch up, watch them. You know what we're doing. So this week we're just cutting out one piece of the O, and we're writing it does not insist on its own way. And we're gonna continue using things you find around the house that you can use on here. Even look for pasta noodles or glitter like I used last week. So fun. Really messy. I'm sorry, parents. But just look around, use them. Let's get started. Now that you have the piece cut out, you're gonna write does not insist on its own way. Now that's a long one, I realize that. So you need to write pretty small. Alrighty. That's a lot of words. Alright, let's get creative. Let's draw, let's color, let's use glitter. Anything you want. I'm gonna do a rainbow. That's not red. Is this red? That's not red either. That's not red either. Is this red? Is this red? No, it's not. Okay. This is the biggest struggle of our generation, is finding a red crayon that is actually red. Alright guys, this is my final product. Look how pretty it is. It's all rainbowy and glittery. See, this is creativity at its finest. Now, this is the second part of the craft, but it's not exactly a craft. It's more of an activity. And you're gonna be able to use it a lot. It's very, very useful. So, if you've been to junior church and been a regular, you've probably seen these guys before. They're the books of the Bible. These ones we made today. And we're gonna be making, you're gonna be making them actually. So they have all the books of the Bible. This is the Old Testament, this is the New Testament. Now I'm guessing you guys probably don't have styrofoam cups at your house. At least not this many. Do you know how many there needed to be? 56. So 56, yeah. It's very unlikely that you're gonna have 56 styrofoam cups at your disposal. We do because we're at the church. So instead of getting cups, we recommend you get popsicle sticks if you have them and if you have enough, straws, or even just paper. And that might be the best option for you guys. So you'll need to be cutting out 56 pieces of paper, but it is so worth it because we're gonna have a little bit of a competition. And maybe we'll have this competition in the future as well. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna cut out the paper or get the straws or the popsicle sticks, whatever you have in your home, and you're gonna have 56 of them. And then you're gonna look in the Bible, or if you know them by heart, you can just write them down. But in the Bible, there's always an index at the beginning that has all the books of the Bible. Except this Bible does not. So you could even look them up online. So you're just gonna write them all down. So we've done this on another stack of cups. This is the Old Testament. And we've gotten a good amount of the New Testament, but we're gonna continue to do it. All right, let's do this thing. All right, now we have 2 sets, and we're gonna have a little bit of a competition. It's gonna be me against her, against all of you guys. So if you have them already, you definitely had to pause the video to get them done. But let's have a competition. Let's see who can finish first. So we're gonna scramble them up. Are you ready? Let's scramble them up. All over the place. So you can do just the Old Testament or just the New Testament if that's better for you. But we're doing them all. It's gonna be intense, guys. I think I'm gonna win though. And no cheating, no copying. Are you ready, guys? 3, 2, 1, let's go. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, Thessalonians. We have both finished. Yeah. So keep going if you haven't finished. You've got this, you can do this. Try doing it without checking. But if you need to, you can check. I'm giving you permission.
If you're up for a challenge, I think I might do this as well, but to just time yourself and see if you can name them, like on paper, like writing them down, or if you have your pieces of paper, see how long it takes you to get them in the right order, and then watch yourself improve every time you try. Alrighty. Alright. I just want to hit you with it once. There we go. Thanks. Alright, now we're going to look at our memory verse. We are finally on verse 5. We were on verse 4, and now we're finally on verse 5. Yeah, so.
We made it, guys. Alright, let's look at verse 5. Alright. I just said that twice. Let's try it again.
Let's look at verse 5. Let's look at verse 5. Please don't fall. Okay. Yes, exercises.
Just once.
You gotta really stick your.
Alright, let's look at verse 5. It says, it does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It's pretty short, it's pretty easy. Let's say it together. 3, 2, 1. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful.
Okay guys, let's put them together now. We're gonna say it from verse 4 and verse 5. So, 3, 2, 1.
Love is patient and kind. Love does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. So that's 1 Corinthians 13, verse 4 to 5. By the end of this, you'll have this whole passage memorized. It's pretty big, but you can do it.
Oh, you didn't even start yet? I did. Oh.
Get out of here.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed it and we hope you learned something today.
We're having a Zoom call this afternoon. That is Sunday, June 7th at 1:30 until around 2 or 2:30. We hope to see you there.
We hope that you guys remember all of the things we've been learning so far and that you're really thinking about how to show love to others through patience and kindness, through not being rude or arrogant, through not envying or boasting. And this week our challenge for you is whenever you think on insisting on your own way, really remember these verses and remember that we should be putting others above ourselves to really show love to other people and also be obedient to God.
See you next week.
Bye! Bye!
Oh. We good?
Yeah. Is it going?
Come on, Source, come on! You're being strategic, huh? Strategic!
It's more about sticking your butt out. Everybody loves parfaits.
I have never watched Shrek.
You've never watched Shrek?
I have no desire to. Okay, I'm sorry.
Shrek is so good.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
It's an ogre's love tale.
Oh, that's just. You're not doing anything. Come on.
I wish I had my trumpet. I don't have one, but I wish I had one.